NBC News reported that American military bases across the Middle East suffered extensive damage from Iranian strikes that is far worse than publicly acknowledged and expected to cost billions of dollars to repair. The reporting cites 3 U.S. officials, 2 congressional aides, and another person familiar with the damage. Iranian strikes since February 28 hit facilities in at least 7 countries. Targets included warehouses, command centers, aircraft hangars, satellite communication systems, runways, radar installations, and aircraft. U.S. Central Command declined to comment on battle damage assessments. Republican congressional aides told NBC, I'm quoting, "No one knows anything, and it's not for lack of asking. We have been asking for weeks and not getting specifics, even as the Pentagon is asking for a record-high budget." Amel, I have a PhD in computer science and I use data analysis to spot patterns in geopolitics and economics. Just a very brief note today that many people have asked me about. There is another channel, House of L-AI, and many of you have reached out to ask if it's somebody impersonating me. It's still me. I just wanted to make videos on the topic of AI as well. You're welcome to subscribe if that's your cup of tea. Anyway, let's move on. The Pentagon is requesting increased funding while simultaneously refusing to disclose damage assessments to the congressional committees that authorize those budgets. Congress appropriates defense spending. They cannot really evaluate budget requests without knowing what needs repair, what was destroyed, and what operational capacity was lost. The Pentagon's position is basically, give us more money, don't ask why, just trust me. So that was bureaucratic deflection, but let's look at the timeline very briefly. The US and Israel struck Iran on February 28th. Iran retaliated with Operation True Promise 4, coordinated waves of missile and drone strikes targeting US military bases all across the Middle East and Israeli sites in occupied territories. The operation was described as a decisive and immediate response aimed at restoring deterrence. Nearly 2 months later, NBC sources are saying the damage is extensive, costly, and systematically underreported. Let's focus on what actually got hit. An Iranian F-5 fighter jet carried out a bombing attack on Camp Buehring in Kuwait, a base protected by U.S. air defense systems. The F-5 is a 1970s-era American-designed aircraft Iran still operates. It's not exactly stealthy, it's not advanced. NBC confirmed the strike happened despite Patriot missile batteries and short-range air defense systems. That means either the defenses failed to engage or they engaged and missed. Either option is a problem. A Boeing E-3 Sentry was destroyed on the ground during an Iranian strike on Prince Sultan Air Base on March 27th. The attack used 6 ballistic missiles and 29 drones, including Shahed-type systems. At least 12 to 15 U.S. service members were sadly wounded. Several KC-135 Stratotanker refueling aircraft were also damaged or destroyed. An E-3 Sentry is an airborne warning and control system aircraft, essentially a flying radar station worth hundreds of millions of dollars. KC-135s are the backbone of aerial refueling for U.S. operations. Losing multiple tankers degrades operational range for strike aircraft across the entire theater. A March 1st drone strike on Camp Buehring killed 6 U.S. service members and wounded over 60. Many suffered traumatic brain injuries, shrapnel wounds, and severe burns. Open-source videos showed one-way drones, likely Arash-2 or Shahed variants, impacting infrastructure and personnel areas. That is the deadliest single event for U.S. personnel during the conflict. 6 sadly killed, 60 wounded, and the Pentagon didn't publicly release detailed casualty breakdowns or acknowledge the extent of infrastructure damage at the base. The piece most analysis misses is that repair costs running into billions are not just about rebuilding structures. Advanced radar arrays, secure communication systems, and hardened aviation facilities require long procurement cycles, classified engineering standards, and protected installation processes. You can't just order replacement parts of a catalog and install them in weeks. If dozens of aircraft were indeed damaged, replacement costs alone could escalate dramatically depending on whether losses involved helicopters, transport aircraft, ISR platforms, or higher-value tactical aviation assets. Conservative estimates place potential repair exposure between $2 and $5 billion. We've actually got a whole playlist on how US military overextension creates vulnerabilities. Check it out after this video. The Iran base damage is a case study in exposure outpacing defensive capacity. Here's the financial mechanism grinding under the surface here. Every billion redirected towards repairing Gulf infrastructure is a billion unavailable for Pacific deterrence planning against China, for example. The Pentagon is requesting record budgets while simultaneously dealing with unbudgeted repair costs from a conflict that was supposed to impose decisive costs on Iran without sustaining significant damage to U.S. assets. The budget pressure compounds as well. Increased baseline requests plus emergency repair supplements plus ongoing operations costs. Congress is being asked to fund all three simultaneously without detailed damage assessment justifying the repair line systems. The lack of transparency has frustrated Republican lawmakers who privately expressed dissatisfaction with senior Pentagon officials. One congressional aide said, I'm quoting, "We have been asking for weeks and not getting specifics, even as the Pentagon is asking for a record high budget. It's not normal. This is not a normal situation." Defense appropriations committees routinely receive classified briefings on operational losses, infrastructure damage, and equipment replacement needs. If aides are saying nobody knows anything, that means the Pentagon is stonewalling oversight even in classified settings. The institutional incentive is clear. Admitting extensive damage undermines the narrative that U.S. operations achieved objectives while Iran's retaliation was ineffective. The strikes were supposed to demonstrate American military dominance and Iranian vulnerability. If Iranian counterstrikes destroyed high-value aircraft, penetrated air defenses, killed U.S. personnel, and caused billions in infrastructure damage, that is not dominance, it is mutual attrition, with the U.S. sustaining heavier than expected losses. What's going to happen next depends on whether Congress forces disclosure through budget leverage. The damage could reignite debate over the merits of maintaining U.S. bases in such close proximity to Iran, for example. Some national security officials in the Trump administration have pushed for years to move U.S. bases further east and further from Tehran's borders. If Iranian missiles can hit Al Udeid in Qatar, Prince Sultan in Saudi Arabia, and Khan Buehring in Kuwait with enough precision to destroy parked aircraft and damage runways, those bases are vulnerable in ways air defenses cannot fully mitigate. The strategic implications extend beyond the Middle East as well. Operation Epic Fury was intended to impose decisive military costs on Iran while preserving escalation control. The growing evidence of unreported damage suggests the conflict instead exposed uncomfortable limits in U.S. assumptions about escalation dominance. If a regional power can inflict billions in damage on forward-deployed U.S. assets using relatively unsophisticated weapons, that changes the risk calculus quite a bit for conflicts with peer or near-peer adversaries. When thinking about how information asymmetry benefits institutions over oversight, my book Awake: The Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies walks through this exact kind of dynamic. It's available in ebook and audiobook. Subscribers get 10% off, and you can grab the first chapter for free in the description links below. We can sketch the likely sequence for how things are likely to unfold moving forward, I think. Congress will eventually force partial disclosure through budget hearings or oversight requests tied to appropriations. The Pentagon will probably release sanitized damage assessments that understate losses while requesting supplemental funding. Satellite imagery analysis and open source reporting will continue filling gaps the Pentagon leaves deliberately vague for now. The actual repair costs will emerge over fiscal quarters as contracts get awarded and budget lines items grow. The true measure of damage isn't just destroyed facilities, primarily it's human life of course, but also is the strategic diversion of American attention, money, and readiness across multiple simultaneous theaters. The U.S. is managing Ukraine support, preparing for potential Taiwan contingencies, maintaining European deterrence, and now repairing billions in Gulf infrastructure damage. Each commitment pulls from the same finite budget and industrial base. The absurdity of all of this is the ultimate contradiction, right? The Pentagon claims Iranian retaliation was manageable and didn't significantly impact operations. Simultaneously, they're requesting billions for repairs while refusing to specify what needs repairing, where the damage occurred, or how it affects readiness. Congress is being told to fund recovery from attacks the Pentagon won't acknowledge happened at the scale reporting indicates. That is not oversight, it sounds more like a blank check. Europe just organized a 40-nation coalition to clear the Strait of Hormuz without U.S. involvement after American escalation created this crisis, by the way. We analyzed the shift in the video on your screen right now. It's definitely worth watching because the Iran-based damage fits a pattern of U.S. military overcommitment, creating vulnerabilities allies are responding to by building independent capacity. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.